So he's going to go over platform engineering. This is
Yeah.
something that Sacha has been working on for quite some time. If you don't know, there is a series of blogs out on the site that will take you to setting up your own Raspberry Pi with a ton of stuff on it, including Ortelius. So I highly recommend reading through those blogs again after this presentation. And Sacha, I am going to stop sharing and I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Tracy. I'm going to torture everybody with a PowerPoint presentation. Can you believe it? Hopefully it's not too bad. Let me share my screen. Stop. Everyone see that?
Yep,
Can you
got a
see
mellow
Mellow
yellow.
Yellow?
Yep,
Yeah, cool. Okay. Let me see if I put it in presentation mode, what happens.
it should be fine.
Now you see my notes. I have to switch it around. Sorry, you can see I'm not a very good PowerPoint
Just go under
driver.
slideshow and it'll say, go back.
Oh,
Go to your, go back to your PowerPoint.
you know what I'm going to do? Sorry, guys. I'm going to share my other screen because it seems to want to go on the other screen. Hold on. It'll just be faster. There we go.
There you go. That looks
Is
great.
everyone good?
Yep, you're all good.
Okay, so I tried to condense this thing called platform engineering into a short presentation. And basically, my title, as you can see, is "What if deploying was a vending machine?" Right? I already thought Mellow Yellow was cool design, so that's why I use Mellow Yellow. So if we could take our deployments that go from days to minutes. Okay, so the reality today is that a lot of the time is taken up getting tickets logged for operational procedures to be implemented. Every team configures their deployments differently. There's bottlenecks for handling repetitive requests. Lots of time is wasted for by developers doing non-developer things. If there's onboarding, that takes a really long time because there's just so much to go through. And so platform engineering is trying to solve this issue to create a type of standardization. I actually heard somebody say it's almost like the industrialization of code deployment, which I thought was quite interesting. And so, for example, if you were going to order parts from a factory, this would take when you don't want to order custom parts from a factory. You want to order. You just need a standard component, for example. So a lot of friction arises from delayed features. Operational people are getting burnt out because there's just so many tickets. They just keep piling up and they never feel like they're ever getting on top of it. This obviously introduces lots of security risk, which I think which is where Ortelius can solve and ease a lot of this pain. And at the end of the day, these aren't just operational problems; they become business problems because they affect every single team, right? So what is platform engineering? Platform engineering is basically it's enabling self-service capability. So like the vending machine you saw, you go to the vending machine, you choose you put in your money, you choose what product you want, and out it comes. That's basically the idea behind a platform orchestrator, which is a set of backend APIs, right? And you define what they call golden paths, which are basically pre-approved paths that don't act like a cage to restrict movement, but rather um, minimize cognitive load and create standardization and automation. And I think that this is where your security piece would come in, is into these golden paths, right? These would be baked into the process. Developers wouldn't have to worry about this, right? Another great thing about golden paths is it allows people to go off path if they need to, but it doesn't allow for this complete wilderness of everybody having a go, right? Um, And also it ensures built-in guardrails, which is really where the security and compliance gets baked into every deployment automatically. There's no manual checks needed. So basically, I got a quote from Gregor Hopper, who he's like a veteran with this type of thing, and he basically called a golden path a clear, well-lit road that guides users efficiently. On to my next slide. So if we have to compare the vending machine model to a custom factory, you can basically see the difference here very easily. So you submit a request for your custom part from the factory, and you have to wait a couple of days, right? And you really hope that those specifications are correct. Whereas with a vending machine, it's literally walk up to the machine, select your options, and you know what you're going to get, right? It's instant delivery. There are some stats at the bottom there. Just take them for what they are, that a custom factory could take days, whereas a vending machine wouldn't take 27 minutes, and if you were just getting a soda out of the vending machine. But in a deployment sense, this would allow a developer to interact with deploying their software in 27 minutes roughly, right? So these are just it's just more of a placeholder to show the speed with which a correctly implemented platform engineering initiative, what it can achieve with in terms of saving time. I'll put some industry benchmarks here just to show that I didn't use AI just to suck out some crazy metrics. I went and did some reading up and looking around on the platformengineering.org website. And also a lot of the stuff comes from my course notes from doing the platform engineering certification. So that's where I got a lot of these stats from. And obviously, I have to also give a big shout out to Humanitech, who provided me full access to their platform engineering solution, which they are allowing me to run at home completely free of charge, which has enabled me to be able to show you something right at the end, which is pretty cool, just so you guys can actually see what it looks like. So when you're building your vending machine, you go through a framework, and this is basically the framework they are teaching us in the course. There's a discovery phase, an integration phase, obviously a deployment phase, and then an adoption phase, right? And as you can see from the bottom, and we were talking about this earlier on with security, right? It's not a gate you go through. It's run through all three tracks in parallel, right? So security is very much part of the entire package all the way through the entire framework, right? And this framework has been tried and tested in many different organizations already. They showed us many examples in the course of how they've done this at banks and various other types of enterprises. And so this framework works. It's not just some made up thing that looks great on a PowerPoint presentation. It actually works. Go to the next. So in your discovery phase, this is where you know what's in your vending machine before you stock it. So you basically this is that planning phase, right? That really digging deep into what you're trying to achieve with your platform and how you can show value. If you don't do this part, most of the platform engineering initiatives generally fail because they didn't do this part properly, right? This is important to get your target architecture as much as possible, your business cases and your KPIs, and obviously your security architecture. And actually, when you go through some of the stuff, you kind of realize like it's quite common sense, right? But it seems we don't seem to do this for some other reason. Okay, next slide. So how do you measure your MVP? So this is being able to track your progress, and they gave us a number of things that we can do, and they also provide a lot of documentation in terms of really easy to use type of forms or just sort of areas where you can record, like for example, and for example, your complexity index, onboarding time, how long does it take to create a service, for example, using DORA metrics, to measure deploy frequencies and lead times, for example, the developer experience. And by doing this, you can really get that, you can really measure the entire flow from the baseline to the end of the process where you scale out your platform. And this is all getting to understand those heavy pain points within the enterprise that you're trying to solve for developers. And when I say developers, I'm meaning not just application developers. I mean, these days there's AI engineers, there's data engineers. I mean, anybody that needs to interact with some type of pipeline in any way, or needs to request a service or infrastructure in any way. It could even be on-prem. It doesn't have to just be cloud. So how does a developer interact with a platform orchestrator? There's a CNCF project that was donated by Humanitech called SCORE. And basically, a SCORE file is just a small set of YAML, as you can see here in the image, that basically describes what you want, right? This is basically how you request from the vending machine what you want deployed, because the platform engineer would have defined this resource already in the back end, and the developer simply states in a SCORE file in a tiny little bit of YAML what they require in order to, for example, in this one, this is some type of an application. It could be a database. It could be a front end application. It could be some middleware, whatever it might be, right? The developer here doesn't have to think too much, right? They just have to know how to call the resource that they require. Okay, so the platform team will then stock the vending machine, right? So just like a vending machine, you see with all the various products that are in there, the platform engineer would do the same, or the platform engineering team would do the same. They would define the resource definitions, the different environments. They would make sure that the security guardrails are baked in, all the cost optimization rules are in there, all the approved infra patterns, and basically this would all be configured at one time. And then every single deployment now has a standard process with all these resource definitions baked into any deployment that goes out to the customer. It's got all these, it's got the golden paths built in there. It's got the CI/CD integration. It's all baked in. No one has to worry, has to think about that stuff. At least the developers don't have to at all. Okay. So this slide shows the anatomy of a vending machine. And there's basically like kind of, if you want to call it 5 layers, if you want to call it. And this one, the one is the developer control plane, where this is where the developers would interact with through the portal, the IDE, the version control, SCORE files, that type of thing. Then there's the integration and delivery part. How does the software get built? And basically the dispensing mechanism, like it says there. You've got your CI pipelines here, your registries, your platform orchestrators, and your CD pipeline. And you've got your resource plane. So basically, the product shelves, right? Do you need a Kubernetes cluster? Do you need a database? What networking do you need? What other services do you require? And also baked into that is the next plane, which is basically your observability plane, if you want to call it, your monitoring and logging. So this is the sensors and the display of the vending machine, right? Giving you feedback so that you can see what's going on with your deployment or with your application. And then the last plane is the security plane. We all know what that is, where everything is locked down, made 100% secure with your secrets management, your identity, and your access control. So each plane basically has its own responsibility, right? And the platform orchestrator connects all these dots together. So on the next page, I'm going to show you what that would look like in a GCP environment, because as far as I know, Autilus uses GCP. So if we take all those planes together and we have a look at what does that practically look like? This is what it would look like as an example for an internal developer platform on Google Cloud, right? You can see each plane is defined by a set of tooling in that specific layer. So I hope this kind of gives you a good understanding or an idea of what this reference architecture could look like, right? So once you've defined your reference architecture, you can put it in an image like this. And this gives everybody a very clear understanding of how each plane interacts with each other. Next slide. So the vending machine then obviously has everything baked in terms of all the quality control, right? Security is by design. It's like I say, it's not a gate that you pass through. It's built into every single item, right? For example, if you got a product out of your vending machine that was that had an expiry date, you wouldn't want that, right? So why would you do that with your software either? You don't want bad software or expired software, if we want to call it, exposed out there on your exposed out there to the client base, right? So each deployment will inherit these security policies, right? They're not optional. Security is automatic. It's like automated guardrails. And the great thing, it comes with a lot of compliance benefits, because now if you have to provide an audit of some sort, you can easily provide that information and show the auditors that these are the standards that are baked into every single deployment, no matter what it is. Next slide. So how would you do this in an enterprise? You would first need to find a pioneering team that is willing to give this a go, right? You don't want your most resistant team, because that's just going to be so painful, right? And you also don't probably want your most critical app either. So you would want a team that is willing to try new things, right? Try and be a pioneering team that would like to try and adopt something that's going to definitely make their lives a hell of a lot easier. And then once you've got that team and found champions in the team, and you've got a great use case, and you've got them using it, and they've given their feedback, and you're iterating and you're making your changes, eventually you'll get to phase 4. And then you can scale up to a few more teams, right? And then eventually you can scale that out organization wide. And what we must remember is that platform engineering, the piece, that backend orchestrator or that platform orchestrator that you're using, that is a product. The platform engineering team manages that like a product. And just the same as the products are being filled by the company that puts the products into the vending machine, it's the same thing. The platform engineering team is responsible for ensuring that that product functions to its optimal. So the idea behind platform engineering is that everybody wins. So it benefits the developer, it benefits the DevOps/platform engineers, and it develops your business people, your managers, right? Because we're now getting much greater velocity for our deployments, which are in minutes, not days, right? Developers can focus on their code. New hires who join will be able to get day one productivity, right? Now, I guess that's the whole idea behind this. There's no more ticket ops. There's no more having to log tickets and waiting for some poor team to trawl their way through a pile of tickets, right? You can remove that obstacle and that time wasting. It's such a time waste having ticket ops. You know that the configurations are defined according to a standard. So configure once, apply everywhere. And strategic work is done. There's no more firefighting, right? And managers then get a faster time to market, reduced risk, and obviously much happier human beings, because now they can actually do the tasks that they're employed to do at the business, at the company, or wherever they're being employed. And obviously this is great for CTOs and CEOs and that type of thing, because they can actually see value out of this, right? They can actually see how products are getting out to market quicker, and this is allowing them to be more competitive against competitors. Things like that, right? They can see the cost saving, because people are not just deploying whatever they want, right? It's all controlled in a standardized way, yet still allowing for that creativity. So we're nearing the end of my presentation, and this is basically your MVP checklist. They stole that from minimum viable product. This is called minimum viable platform. And this is how you get a minimum viable platform. The idea is to do it in 4 weeks. I guess that would be in a perfect world, but 4 weeks is the goal. But I think that they've shown during the course they showed many examples of real life scenarios where they had done this in 4 weeks. And I think basically it's down to the humans just to be as open-minded and cooperative as possible to get that done. And I think it's totally doable in 4 weeks, to be honest. So the framework really helps avoid that death spiral, right? Where you build something, you think everyone's going to love it, and then no one adopts it at all, right? So then you spend all these dollars on building this thing, and then it's a complete waste because nobody ends up using it. So that's why it's really important to follow the framework in its throughout its different stages, so that you end up with something that is actually valuable to the business. And obviously, this will be different to every business, but at least it gives you a framework to work towards, depending on whatever enterprise or business that is. So the idea is to basically deliver value quickly. And I also had to read up what the Pareto efficient 80-20 means. And that is basically rather solve 80% of the most common use cases well. Don't try and solve every use case. Build golden paths for frequent workflows. Don't focus on the edge cases up front, look for where's the bulk workload happening, right? If everybody is deploying Node.js and PostgreSQL apps, that is like the 80% of the bulk load. That's where your focus is, right? And don't try and build a perfect platform from launch. You're just building the core needs and then you iterate, right? So that's kind of the idea behind that Pareto efficient 80-20 rule. And then basically my last slide is showing build your vending machine from friction to flow through those different phases. And then I can answer some questions, hopefully. Hope I didn't go too fast, everybody.
Sasha, that was an amazing presentation. And your slides are your slides are beautiful.
Oh, thanks.
In fact, could you send them to me? I want to steal your templates.
Yeah, of course you can. You can have them all.
It's beautiful. Yeah. It's really well done.
Oh, thanks.
And then the question, one of the question that came up is Score, I believe is the tool that you were talking about.
Yeah, Score.
Does it have endpoint data?
That's a good question. Let me go find it in my slides. Sorry. Go find it in my slides. I've got some more notes about Score. Here it is.
It would be interesting if there's CNCF has some tools out there that's tracking the deployment endpoints that we might be able to integrate with Score with those logs.
Yeah, exactly. So Score is your is basically your developer self-service, right? The developer just comes and literally does this tiny little bit of YAML. That's it. My API, my container I want this database. Thanks. They don't have to worry about anything else, right? They just define that and they get it, right? That's how it works. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they can stay in their IDE. It's also the idea, right? No context switching. They stay in their IDE. That's just a bit of YAML, right? And they can they deploy it, right? Yeah. I'll have to look that up for you, Tracy. Just curious. There is a URL for Score, which I can just share in the channel just now. I'll put it in there for everybody.
And then the last thing I would ask, the last thing I would ask if you could run this through ChatGPT and create a blog.
Oh yeah, sure. I'll do a blog for you.
I think we could do a blog and because I'll pull this into a webinar for you. We could do a blog with a webinar. Everything it was really well done, Sasha. It was beautiful.
Thanks.
Utkarsh.
Thanks. I'm glad. Oh, there it is. Score.dev. I think try that. See if you can.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll see if I can find it here too.
I had one question for Sasha. I was wondering if we have to make any configuration changes later when we have like provisioning thing using Score. How easy is that, making those changes?
Okay, that's a really, really good question, and I can show you that. Wait, let me just go to my other computer. I'm going to show you what that looks like. Because I think you guys need to see this. If I can just move this here. Can you see this?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, so obviously once you followed the MVP, right? The framework, right? Sorry, the framework. You would have defined, this is the Humanitech platform orchestrator, right? That they've given me to use, right? And here you can see the resource definitions, right? Some of them, here's the defaults. I've made some of my own, right? And this is where I define those workloads, of course. So if I was, let's say we have dev, test, and prod. If I wanted a dev database, it would be defined here, and I would select that, right? And that would have all the resources, the CPU, the whatever you need already defined. Because in the framework process, we would have already defined that, right? We would have defined the 80% or the bulk of the workloads what they use, right? If it's a MySQL that needs 4 CPUs and 8 gigs of RAM and for example, then that's defined here. And when you use the score file is calling these resource definitions within the orchestrator, right? Does that make sense?
Yep.
And
Yep.
if we need to change that, we change the resource definition. The platform engineering person would change them here in this screen. They would update it here. And you wouldn't need to worry about that, right? We would be able to come here and update this. And if we go here and have a look, for example, imagine I haven't got a database here, unfortunately. You can create your own custom workloads, for example. These are some defaults. And I don't know if the custom one shows. So you would see the YAML here, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is where I would configure that database, right? Criteria. And and we would just update. It would be super fast, right? We would just update it here, and you would have that workload, right? And that's also where the observability part would come in, right? You'd start noticing maybe you're starting to need more resources, right? But like I say, that framework that you work through in the beginning, where you sit with the team, you would be defining that already up front, so that when you are starting to use the orchestrator, you've already got that baked in as a resource definition here, right? But it's easy to change, right? It's easy to change. It's easy to add edge cases that you can easily call through the score file, right?
Okay.
Did that answer your question?
Yep. Yep.
For example, I know this is not related to a resource, but like here's an ingress, right? It's just as simple as that. And you call this thing, you just use the score file to call this. Yeah. This
Nice.
is where you define it all. Yeah. Any other questions? I've
I
even
think
got some. I've
Brian
even
has
got
some
some.
questions.
So Sasha, first of all, great work, and I love how you both you did not just focus on the technical implementation. You did a great job of simplifying it, but talking about things like getting team buy-in, kind of how you
Yes.
deploy this process.
Yes.
So another comment I had is I saw on your slide that you kind of talked about what the developers asked was right here. I need a container. I need a database. Deploy to staging. And this gets me thinking
Yeah.
as we talk about MCPs in the age of AI, is there a plan for
Yeah.
you or Humantech, or do you envision a world where developers are requesting these resources in natural language? As easy as it is to fill out
Absolutely.
15 lines in a YAML, is
Yes.
are you maybe optimizing that as well?
Yes. Humanitech I was actually part of that pilot project. I started helping them with testing that out, and they've got an AI I think it's called Canyon. If I can just find it for you. How do you get out of this thing? See, I'm an engineer. I don't do much PowerPoint. I think it's called, let me just look here. I'll get it for you. Wrong keyboard. It's called Canyon, Brian. It's a great question. And yes, they are busy with something like that. Canyon, or maybe I spelled it wrong. I'll find it for you, Brian.
Yeah,
I've got it somewhere.
I think when it's ready, that'd be a great thing to come back and demo. We'd love to see.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, I'll show you that. Yeah. I'll send you I'll put the URL in here for you. I have, or is it with a C maybe? Canyon.
Ah,
Oh, here we go. Here we go. This is it. Hey, where did it go now? Get Canyon AI. It keeps taking me here now. Must have changed the URL. I'll find it for you. But it's called Canyon. Oh, yeah, it was this.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'll send this all to you, Brian.
All
I'll send
right.
this all
Yeah,
to
that'd
you.
be cool.
And
I
anyone
think-
else? Yeah. Any other questions?
So, Sacha, I have a question related to the user experience. So relate this back to what our conversation with Eric. So from what you shared, sounds like your framework, because you baked your security from day one, and also the framework make developers' life easier. So from your experience, it's actually quite not too bad to push it out to the entire population then.
Yeah, and that's a great question too. That is phase one, right? So phase one would be myself and all the stakeholders, right? And we're talking not just the technical people, but also we're talking security, we're talking the business people, the CTOs, CFOs, whatever, security people. That's where we all come together as a group of humans, and we define this thing, right?
Yeah.
What does it require to get this product to market, right? And we define these things. So we're doing these different things. There's the tech track, your value stream mapping. I can send you more documentation around value stream mapping, pain point analysis, technical assessments, architecture design, your business track, so stakeholder interviews, all of this sort of stuff. This is every single thing we're going to have to go through to end up with an excellent sort of condensed platform engineering experience, platform experience, right? At the end of the day. So that we know that all of this knowledge is baked into the application that we're deploying, right?
Yeah.
And that business logic or that business value is baked into your product even from the deployment, from the developer perspective. So the developer doesn't have to worry about that anymore. They can just code, right? That's the power of this thing. It's kind of like, for me, it's like DevOps is the culture and the platform engineering was the tool, or let's say the orchestrator, which is just a set of backend APIs, it's just a set of APIs, actually is now harnessing that culture and tooling together, right? So that we and it's also bringing your business people and your technical people together around a kind of like I guess a digital table, if you want to call it. Yeah. Because I think it's a lot of the time it's lacking, right? I think there's just too much fragmented communication. I find it all the time. People have posted stuff in chats and like, didn't you see my post on my chat? No, because it was like 500 posts up the channel, right?
That's
I didn't see that. Oh, but I also emailed you. Oh, really? Okay, great. Yeah, okay. I've got a lot of those too. So the whole point is to show value, like from a budgetary perspective, to also all the people that you're employing and paying for, making sure the company's getting value out of why they're employed there, right? I mean, why is a developer spending time trying to figure out infrastructure? What a waste of money. Why are you going to unnecessary meetings where you didn't need to be there, right? But somebody just thought it'd be great for you to be there. That just cost them a whole day's labor of your hourly rate, right? I mean, in South Africa, I've heard people being in 50 people meetings, right? When you could have if you'd just done the homework beforehand, right? It's like kind of simple, but we don't do this stuff. It drives me nuts. Yeah. Anyway.
Did you mind
does that answer your
are
question?
you guys following the safe agile process?
I get dumped at clients and I follow whatever they dump on me. My previous experience was the most over-engineered. It was like being in a concentration camp. Yeah.
Okay.
I've never experienced such most over-engineered process in my life. There was no room for initiative, for creativity. It was just like, you just do that. And that's what you're allowed to do. And if you think out of the box, I've worked in all kinds of environments. It all depends on the client, right? Yeah.
So you mentioned the imperfect ideal situation, 4 weeks, you can set up this framework.
Yeah, 4 weeks.
So based
MVP,
on your
hey?
experience,
Minimum viable.
Yeah,
Yes.
minimum viable. So in reality,
Product,
how long
platform.
does it take?
I haven't done one because nobody wants to buy it because they don't have any money.
Okay. I'm just wondering. Oh, yeah, it is, quite very efficient
I've
though.
tried selling. Yeah, no, I don't know. Hey, there's open source tooling as well out there that you can use, but you don't have to buy. This is a paid for product, right? Humanitech. It's a paid for one, but
Yeah.
it's extremely good, right? But just from the coursework that I've done and from the examples and chatting to lots of people in the in the course was very interactive with people. You weren't just sitting on your own. You had to attend a class and all talk about it, right? It was amazing. It was really amazing.
Sure.
People from all over the world, from north, east, south, west. It was amazing. And it's really good questions that you're asking, right? But
Well,
at the end of
that's
the
very
day,
good though.
mm,
Yeah, as Brian
yeah.
mentioned, you're using a very simple term and to present we all know how complicated this space is, but you did a
Yeah,
really well presentation.
I
Yeah.
wanted to show people that it's less about tooling, it's more about culture and people. It's not
Yeah.
about tooling, right? Look at the first phase. This is all people, right?
Yeah.
This is all CTOs, CEOs, principal engineers, security people. This is what it's about. It's about all of us getting around a table, even if it's a camera like this, and filling it and filling out this information, right? Yeah. Instead of just throwing a credit card into your cloud provider's billing section and hoping for the best. And generally I've seen disasters. I've seen a company, I won't mention names, $250,000 a month bill, and they were worried about the expenditure. I was like, that's 4 million rand a month. You know what I could do with that? Whew, that's insane, man. I almost fell off my chair when I heard that. Yeah, yeah.